Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I am Kaz. I'm here with my father, Harvey. And while we're not looking forward to an IndyCar race this weekend, unfortunately, we've still got a lot to talk about and a couple of exciting pieces of news that have come out. One of those pieces of news is just great. And the other spawns a whole massive discussion where we all get to put on our tinfoil hats. And we cannot wait to get into it this week. So, Harvey, kick us off. Why don't we start with the good news?
The great news was the ratings for the XPEL Grand Prix at Road America were off the charts.
Woo!
This was the highest rated non-Indy 500 IndyCar race since 2011.
Hmm.
15 years ago was the last time they had a non-Indy 500 race that had this many viewers. What was it? Up 131%.
Yeah, it was up 131% viewership from last year.
Yeah, from last year. They
Oof.
were 1.8 million viewers is the
Hmm.
average. And at its peak, there were 2.9 million people watching that race.
That's
So,
incredible. I'm so happy
yeah.
for the sport, and I'm so happy that it happened at Road America. Oh my God. What a perfect place to introduce people to IndyCar because you do have to assume, I mean, look, a lot of that a sizable bump was given by the World Cup lead-in. And that's great. Super happy that people chose to stick around instead of going to find another game. Um, but also, the,
Yeah.
131% didn't just come from World Cup audiences. This
Right.
is a demonstration of growth of IndyCar as a whole. And what a great like viral moment. Sorry. Sorry to be such a turd. What a great like viral moment for them to like tie in with the World Cup. And now so many more people have watched it. It just works out really well. And I thought it was a great race to introduce people to IndyCar
Yeah,
through.
people got to see a great race, a lot of drama, both from on-track perspective and also some funky rules stuff that we talked about.
Hmm.
So all kinds of good things to get people interested. And yeah, like you had said earlier, people know how to change the channel. So the lead in wasn't everything. It's not like they couldn't have gone, oh, racing, click.
Yeah.
No, they went, oh, racing. Let's see what this is.
Yeah.
And, they were treated to a great race at obviously our favorite track. And, hopefully they're going to come back next week for Mid Ohio because that's another great track and a lot of fun.
I've got to think that the next couple of races are all events that I typically expect something pretty great out of. If we had a bunch of people watching the lead in, watching from the World Cup, watch Road America, they think it's great. They watch Mid Ohio. I can't imagine them not liking that. Um, Coming into this later part of the season, this is a great time to be picking up fans. And we have another World Cup game lead in, I believe, in
I
Nashville.
Yeah, I wouldn't see why not. I mean, they are playing for the next few weeks. So,
Yeah.
there might be a leading game to the Mid Ohio race.
Yeah. I
So,
do know there's definitely one leading into the Nashville night race,
yeah. So
which is an awesome event to
good. Take
have new
advantage of
eyes
it.
set on. Yep.
Put a great product on the track. Not everyone's going to come back, but a few will, and it's just that type of stuff that helps build the sport. So, congratulations to IndyCar. Congratulations to Road America. They got that great viewership, and let's see if that can build.
And you know what? I also, the last thing I want to say here is if anybody listening is somebody who watched their first IndyCar race, watching Road America, one of the, 131% of people who didn't watch it last year, welcome. And let us know if
Mhm.
you have any questions. It's a
Yeah,
great
that's why
community.
we're here. We're here to help introduce people to the sport and answer questions about it. Speaking of questions,
News
there was some news this week, obviously.
item number two.
News
Felix
item
Rosenqvist.
number two that came up this week is that Felix Rosenqvist is leaving MSR. Indy 500 winner Felix Rosenqvist is leaving MSR. He has decided not to renew his contract. They tried really hard to re-sign him,
Hmm.
but he has said, "Nope, I'm going to take my steering wheel and go elsewhere." We do not know where yet, and that is really part of this conversation because this kicks off silly season.
Yeah, I think it's firmly in the right to say that silly season has begun. Um, Indy 500 winner within a month of the Indy 500 announcing he's not re-signing to his prior team. He has either expressed quite clearly or at least implied heavily that it was somebody offered him a buttload of money.
Right. And
Um,
yeah, and it's not because he was dissatisfied with MSR and the
mhm.
performance and any of that. Plus, he's going to go somewhere, make more money, and probably while MSR has been competitive this year, he's certainly going to get himself into a better situation.
He wants to go to outside of the money. If I'm Felix Rosenqvist, the
Hmm.
only reason I move is if I get an offer from a team that allows me to be competitive for the win on a much more regular basis than MSR. MSR
Yep.
obviously can provide Felix Rosenqvist a winning car. They did it for the biggest show this season.
Yeah.
But,
And and
we're
their
not
car was
talking.
competitive last week.
Their car was highly competitive at Road America. Marcus, by but for a stroke of luck would have won that race.
Right.
So they can do it and have done it and probably will continue to. But there are other teams that give you those opportunities more frequently. Not
Yeah. And
that many of them, and most of them don't have seats open. So
right.
it's a lot of fun to think about where Felix is going to go. And I think that this is when we talk about silly season, I like to start with what we know and then talk about what we can reasonably infer
Hmm.
and then speculate wildly. So
Well,
I think let's save where is Felix going for the very end of this episode. You and
okay.
I can each make our tinfoil predictions about what's going to happen with Felix Rosenqvist. Let's start with talking about what we know.
Well, what we know today is that 12 drivers have contracts that are locked in and good for next year.
Hmm.
So, Alex Palou, David Malukas, Kyle Kirkwood, Pato O'Ward, Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, those guys aren't going anywhere.
Hmm.
Marcus Armstrong, or let's see, who else? Um, Louis Foster's locked in, obviously. Graham Rahal, he'll still be where he is. Christian Rasmussen signed a long-term deal. So, those guys are all locked in. That means there are 13 drivers whose contracts are expiring
Hmm.
at the end of the season, and they will be looking either to renew their seat or find another seat. And if they don't find another seat, then the question is who's coming in?
And that ends category one. That is what we know. But I
Well,
think there's still quite a lot that we can reasonably infer from
yeah,
the information that we have available. Of those 13 available seats, I think there are quite a few of them that we can go ahead and say are fairly likely to remain with the driver currently in the seat.
yeah. I mean, you want to start with one?
Is Christian Lundgaard leaving McLaren? No.
No.
No, Christian
Yeah,
Lundgaard is happy there. They just gave him a race-winning car for two road courses in the last 2 months. I think he is just fine staying at McLaren, and he's talked recently to us about feeling like he's coming into the car, like things are clicking in a
hmm,
positive forward momentum kind of way for him. He's taking steps forward with that team. He's not leaving. His contract is up, but he's definitely still going to be there next year.
yep. I think, yeah. When we look at this, I think Marcus Armstrong will be
Hmm.
staying at MSR. I think
Yeah.
MSR is going to do everything they can to keep him,
Hmm.
and I think that now that Felix has left the team, he's going to take the best available seat.
Yeah.
And I don't think the second best available seat is better than the MSR seat.
I don't know that it is. Yeah. And I think we'll talk about that when we talk about Felix,
Yeah,
what the best available is.
right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Marcus Armstrong is definitely locked in. Harvey, you've got the list in front of you. Who else are you seeing who you think are for sure?
Oh, let me see. Let's go down here. It's really hard to say because if you look at this list, okay, I'm just going to read down the list. Scott Dixon is there as long as Scott Dixon
Great.
wants to be there, right? If he chooses not to drive, that seat becomes
Chip
open.
will never force him out.
I I
Mhm.
just
But
can't
Scott could
imagine.
retire in a year.
Yeah, I mean, Scott's producing good results. He's
Hmm.
and frankly, they have another driver in their stable. Well, I mean, Kiffin, technically his contract is up for renewal, but
I think that
he
Chip has made it
has,
very clear that he's happy with Kiffin's development. Every public statement he's made about him seems like he's thrilled with him in that seat. And why would Kiffin choose to leave?
right.
So,
Plus, they have a great deal built around him with Sunoco and that
hmm
partnership and everything. So
hmm
it's not like he's going to be, moving around. So that to me is a question, is whether Dixon stays or goes. That one's fairly solid. Kiffin's solid in his deal. Um, other than that though, it's really wide open because you've got, you know, I'm just,
I'm gonna add one more. I think, and not because he's had like an amazing season, but I think if you're AJ Foyt, you hang on to Kyle Collette.
yes, I think you,
And and I don't
I,
think he's had an incredible enough season that he's gonna get a better offer than AJ Foyt. So
no, I agree with you. And actually he's there because Penske wants him there.
yeah, yeah.
So he's going to stay there, which means that I think unless AJ Foyt adds a third car,
It does put Santino Ferrucci.
Santino
Yeah,
Ferrucci in the hot seat,
it does put him in
which
the hot seat a little bit because he's great. He does well for AJ Foyt, but if Penske's not getting anything out of him, and there is somebody else who, and we'll get there too because we're not speculating yet. But yeah,
right,
if there's somebody else that they want there, um, Santino might be the sacrificial lamb
right,
and have to. Now, do I think he'd find another seat in the series? Yes, I do.
yes,
I don't think Santino's out of the series if he's out of that Penske seat or sorry, AJ Foyt seat this year. But
right.
it's more of a possibility that he'll be out of that seat next year than I think it's ever been.
I would, yes, I would agree with you, just given where they want to, what they want to do with Colette,
Yeah.
long term, and the fact that there are other drivers coming up, and that is, I hate to say it, but that's a developmental team.
Yeah.
It's not, they're not like MSR that are ready to run up at the front.
I mean, look, there's an extent to which, like, when you take a technical partnership with Penske, you have to understand that you will be
Mhm.
doing what Roger tells you
To some degree.
to some degree.
Right.
It's he doesn't own both teams, but he is allowed to make edicts for what it
Yep.
means to work with his tech, and that's the series we live in.
Oh, the other driver who's probably safe in his seat,
Mhm.
we didn't mention this, is Dennis Hauger at
Yeah.
DCR.
Yeah, I would say
Um,
Hauger's safe as well.
yeah, I mean, depends on some
Yeah.
things, but he is safe at DCR as long as Andretti wants him to stay at DCR.
Yeah. So
He
so
is
the
Hauger is under contract to Andretti and on loan to DCR on a 1 year deal. They will renew that deal
mhm.
if Andretti says, keep him there for
We're
one
not
more
ready for
year.
him.
We're
Yeah.
not ready for him yet.
So the question then in terms of Hauger's seat becomes, let's be honest, it's Marcus Ericsson. Marcus
Right.
Ericsson's contract at Andretti is up. I think he's done well enough this season, and Hauger hasn't been so amazing that it's time to push the swap yet. I think Ericsson buys himself one more year, but I don't think he gets offered more than a 1 year contract.
Yeah, I mean, he's ninth in the championship right now. I could easily see
Hmm.
him moving up a couple of spaces, could
Hmm.
see him dropping a couple of places, but
Yeah.
he's not going to fall to, 20th in the championship. And a top 10 finish for him, I think would secure that seat for one more year, uh, because they have a place to keep Hauger and continue to develop him. Now,
Yeah.
would they? I think they would prefer he were in a better seat, more competitive seat to get more out of, see what more they could get out of him. But frankly, he's not doing that bad considering where he is.
Considering the seat he's in, I think he's performing really well. And there is something to be said for development in a lower pressure situation.
Hmm.
A rookie second year driver taking a seat at Andretti creates a lot of splash, a lot of waves. Hauger seems pretty chill. I don't know that he seems like the kind of guy who'd be susceptible to panic because of attention, but give him another year at DCR. Why not? He's fun to watch. He's doing good enough things there, and he can help DCR as well, which I
Hmm.
think is, for Andretti, that's important to them. If they're going to be loaning them their drivers, they want them to be able to build cars that can show him off a little bit. So
Right.
I think it I think it works for everybody to keep Ericsson there for one more year. If I'm betting, I think those two are safe to stay in their seat.
Yeah, I would say let's keep those guys where they are for now. Um,
Hmm.
but so that means that essentially, um, Andretti is, sorry, I'm just trying to double check here. You've got Kirkwood obviously safe in his seat.
Hmm.
And then you've got Will Power, who he's not going anywhere.
His
So
contract was multi-year,
yeah,
so he
so that
specifically didn't take the contract Penske offered him because it was only for 1 year, and he thought
right,
that he wanted a multi-year contract.
right.
So
So he's locked in. So from that standpoint, then there are no Andretti seats available.
yeah, yeah. Realistically, there is no seat at Andretti available. So that's not where Felix is going. I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, the only way he would go there is if you move Ericsson out.
Yeah. Move Ericsson out, bring Rosenqvist in for 1 year while you sit Hauger. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense
Well,
to me.
but then at that point, maybe it is Power 2 years from now who moves on and
Sure,
Hauger
maybe
moves
it's
up. Who
yeah,
knows?
that's a lot of
Hmm.
fast moving long-term planning. I don't know that that sounds very likely to me.
Yep.
I'm gonna bet everybody at Andretti and Dale Coyne stay where they are. So we've got as of right now, we've got no Penske seats open, no Andretti
I'm
seats
not
open.
betting that everyone at Dale Coyne stays where they are.
Oh yeah, well I guess you're right about that. We do have a second Dale Coyne driver whose contract is up, and it's Romain Grosjean. And
Right.
much as I enjoy the guy, I don't know that I don't
Uh,
know that he's done enough to continue to drive there.
he's scoring behind his teammate right now.
Yeah,
A
his
rookie,
rookie teammate.
his rookie teammate. And he hasn't delivered the results. Is it all his fault? Probably not. But you got to
Racing ain't
beat your
fair.
team. You got to beat your teammate first,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
and we've talked about how great Dennis Hauger looks, but you got to beat your rookie teammate, man.
Yeah. And
You've driven Formula One. You got to beat your rookie teammate.
yeah,
I don't know what else to say.
speaking of Formula One drivers,
Mick Schumacher's contract is up.
it is. And he's going to have to do something really spectacular to save that seat.
You think? I think they give him one more.
I think they give him one more if they don't have a better option.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I guess if there's somebody really spectacular but RLL does not technical partnership with any of the big teams.
No.
So nobody's going to deliver them a really great developing talent, in the same way that sometimes might happen for AJ Foyt or Dale Coyne or Meyer Shank. So I don't know. I I I think they give Mick one more year. I don't really necessarily know who they'd be looking at.
Yeah, I don't know either, but that we could talk about that more as we go through the seats.
You know
Um,
why they give him one more for me also? Mick brings in money. He's headlines and money. Formula One blogs write about him. It's worth it just for the cash. And
he's going to
I,
have to start delivering though. He's got to be more consistent
well,
for them.
sure. Well, sure. And look, I'm not calling Mick Schumacher a pay driver because he didn't buy his seat by any means, but like pay drivers have held on to their seats for quite some time in this series. I wouldn't
Yes,
be
they have.
surprised if just because of the extra attention, gravitas, and cash that Mick brings with him, just by virtue of being who he is and somebody people want to talk about, I think that serves RLL very well. They'd have to really love the driver they're replacing him with, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure. Okay. So Alex, let's talk about Alex Rossi.
I thought you were going to say Alex Pillow for a second.
No,
I was just
Alex
going
Below.
to.
We don't need to talk about Alex Below. We talk about him every week. This is not Alex Below week.
Yeah, he gets a week off. Alex Rossi is an interesting case.
Yeah. Rasmussen signed.
Hmm.
Rossi is, a very talented, very experienced driver. He was brought in to be the senior driver on that team, really help him development when obviously Ed moved out. He's 15th right now.
Yeah, look, I I don't think that 15th is necessarily indicative of the way Rossi has been driving this season. We can't forget some really bad luck he's had, sometimes in races where he was looking quite sporty.
Right.
Um, And
The,
and really, I mean, everybody's bad luck is like, oh, sometimes it's a team error, and sometimes it's a lot of Rossi's bad luck this season has just been like, oof, the gods don't want you to win today, Alex. I'm sorry. Like, what
well,
can we say?
the thing that's
Um,
interesting about
uh,
it is he's 15th. His teammate, who is just signed to a long-term deal, is 22nd.
yeah, yeah. If we want to talk about comparing championship points. Rasmussen,
Right.
obviously, I think Ed really, based on the way he talked about him after the Milwaukee race last year, I think Ed really likes like obviously he
Yeah.
likes both of his drivers, thinks highly of them. But I get the sense that he sees something really, really special in Christian. Um, and on short ovals, so do I. So I get it, man. But I don't I lean toward Rossi probably gets his contract signed again. What do
I'm
you
I,
think?
I'm with you on that one. I
He's
just
he's such a smart racer.
right.
He brings so much more to the table than just his championship points. And I especially like look, Christian Rasmussen is very talented, but does need development and
Right.
does need mentorship. And
Yeah,
Alex comes with a lot of brains and a lot of ability to make the right choices at the right time.
yeah, he brings a steady hand, I think,
Mhm.
to
Yes,
to that team. So I think you're right. You keep him there. Um, they're one of those teams that you look at and go, there are two charters out there,
yeah.
one for each manufacturer. Does AJ Foyt get the charter? Does ECR get the charter for Chevy if they decide
Hmm.
to do a third car? It's one of those two teams.
Yep. It could be either of them. It's one of those two. I have a sense that Penske very much like it to be AJ Foyt. But Ed loves spotting young talent,
Right.
and I could very easily see him fighting to get that charter seat so that they can,
Yeah,
check out somebody else.
if Chevy wants to throw that charter into the field for the season, help support it, I could see ECR definitely picking up that charter. And then that makes Rossi's seat certain
Certainly safe. Yeah.
because again, he's there, he can help a young driver develop.
Hmm.
It would not be out of the realm of possibility for him to be staying there then.
No, if it gets announced that Chevrolet is going to run their charter seat with ECR before Rossi's contract extension is done, I will consider it locked. Um,
Yep.
and I already think it's very likely.
Yeah, so then we've got a few other people to talk about here.
Mm.
Nolan Siegel.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting into the ones where, like, hey, look, guys, it's not so certain.
Oh,
Um, TK has been vocal since the beginning of the season about expectations for Nolan, about how he needs to see him make certain improvements. Um, there was at one point a benchmark of 10th in the championship or better, and we know Nolan is not going to hit that.
right.
Um,
He's sitting 21st right now. There's no way at um he's sitting 21st at 125 points. He is not gonna make up almost 100 points on Scott Dixon to get
it's
to
not
10th.
mathematically reasonable for it to happen. It's just so the question then becomes how strict was that?
Right.
Was that meant to inspire him and a good showing will be enough? If that's the case, has the showing been good enough? Like you said, he's not like he's 11th or 12th. He's 21st right now.
Right.
Um, I think, and it does pain me to say this because I really think very highly of Nolan Siegel personally. He
Hmm.
seems like a really cool guy.
Every time we've
Every
had an
interaction we've
interaction,
had, he's like so polite.
yeah,
He's
he's been
such
great.
a polite young man. But I don't see him keeping that seat this year. With how vocal TK has been and with how well we're seeing Christian Lundgaard do.
Right.
So, all right, one of the young guys we brought in to make some moves is doing it. One of them's not. Let's get somebody else in here.
And that leads me to a conversation we said we'd table till the end, but we might have to have now
All right.
because if someone offered,
If someone
Rosenqvist
offered Fro a
a bu-
boatload of money,
there's only one team
might
because
be a
Penske doesn't have a seat and Andretti doesn't have a seat.
man named Zach Brown
Right.
coming
So,
in. And we can't forget this offer was apparently made soon after the Indy 500. You know who was in Indianapolis right after the 500? Lando Norris partying up with, sure, he was with Daniel Ricciardo, he was with Connor Daly, but at that party also was Felix Rosenqvist. I
right.
don't know. Is there a little McLaren schmoozing going on? Maybe.
Maybe, probably.
Maybe.
But look, if you're going to leave MSR,
Hmm.
you have to go up.
Yes.
And the only up teams from MSR right now are Penske, Ganassi, and Andretti,
Hmm.
and McLaren. And McLaren is an if, but it
Mm,
is.
yeah, see, I don't know. I mean, the addition of a ton of money, I'll make a
Right,
lateral move for a ton more money, sure.
right.
But I don't necessarily think that this seat is an improvement in
But
position.
there's no room at Ganassi.
There's no room at
There's no
Ganassi,
room at Penske.
no
There's
room at
no room
Penske.
in Andretti. The only other team he could be going to is McLaren because he's not going to JHR. You know,
He's not going to
he's
replace Romain Grosjean at Dale Coyne.
at Dale Coyne, and he's not going to he's not going to AJ Foyt.
All right. I know we said we'd table this till the end, but I'll do it. You know what I think it is?
What?
This is insane. I think it's possible that Scott Dixon has told Chip he intends to retire at the end of the season and to find someone to fill his seat.
Yeah, that is the only other possibility.
I would move into Scott Dixon's seat from Meyer Shank. I'm not
Sure,
sure I don't know that Felix wants to go back to McLaren. The experience there wasn't super positive for anybody.
true.
I don't know that Felix, who's found so much success with the Honda, is necessarily interested in going back to a Chevrolet powered car. I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but according to Will Power, it's a very different engine to drive.
Sure.
Um, and money is great, but I feel like Felix Rosenqvist, after winning the Indy 500, wants more wins and more prestige.
Right.
And if that's his driver, McLaren might not. It might be better to stay instead of taking a gamble and going back to the team that you left where you didn't find success. Stay with the team where you are finding success until a seat at one of the higher options opens up. I
Sure.
don't I don't know that the move to McLaren makes a ton of sense.
Well,
And look, maybe that's what it is, and I'm going to be proven totally wrong in
no,
like 3 days when they announce it. But there's just this little tickle in the back of my brain that's like, maybe,
yeah, you might be
maybe
right.
Scott has said to Chip, thank you so much. I'm good. And I could see, so we know that Scott wants to do some hypercar racing before
Right.
he is done racing entirely. So that's important to note. And then also, look, Alex Palou's your teammate. He's in the equal machinery. As
Right.
long as that is true, realistically, Scott probably doesn't have another championship in him.
Right. Right.
With all of that, and not that he's not good enough to do it because he is, but it's Alex right now. He's the class and that's what it is. So if I'm Scott and I'm thinking about my career in IndyCar, going out now, well, you're still so good
Hmm.
and still having a great racing career ahead of you in a series that you've always wanted to try
Sure.
seems like
Yeah.
a
Go
really,
go run Le Mans. Go run
yeah,
Daytona. Go run a bunch of other stuff. The other thing is come back every year and run the 500.
come back every year and run the 500. Absolutely. And and I think that Felix in as a, especially if this is true, especially if Scott didn't necessarily give Chip that much of a heads up and Chip's in this position now where he didn't necessarily plan for a younger driver to throw in. And hey, Felix Rosenqvist is available and he just looked amazing in the 500. And I know that Chip Ganassi's not like splashy with their money like McLaren is, but they've got enough money to make Rosenqvist a big offer.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Certainly a bigger offer than Meyer Shank, even though the scuttlebutt is that Meyer Shank tried everything they could to keep him, obviously.
They should have
So,
tried it before the 500. But the second he crossed that line, it was the second he crossed the yard of bricks, it was too late. The
yeah,
higher offer had already been made.
yeah. So you know what? You've convinced me.
I
I
I don't know.
I
It's just
like that. I mean,
a little crazy, but it's possible.
because no one's leaving Penske
No one's leaving Penske,
and no one's leaving Andretti.
and no one's leaving Andretti. And for both of those teams, even if somebody was leaving, there are young people set to step in.
Right. And now you table someone for the talent of Rosenquist if you have it available.
Sure.
But um yeah, I don't see either of those two teams um taking on Rosenquist.
And it's not like Rosenquist would be a 1 year,
No.
he's looking
He,
for a home.
you're signing him for a multi-year deal
Yeah.
and he's going to be there for 5, 6, whatever many years he
Yeah.
wants to be there. As long as he's, doing what he's doing now,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you? So we had to talk about that there
Yeah.
because we had to talk about Nolan Siegel.
Yes.
So, and so Siegel, his seat is really one of the hot seats. Um, other hot seats on the grid.
Well, of course, there's
eh,
Rosenquist's empty seat
Yeah.
now at Meyer Shank.
So who goes there?
I think it's Renus VK.
I think that's a fair speculation because he's certainly safe if he wants to stay at JHR.
Hmm. And
I,
he had a lot of great things to say about the relationship with the team. But I think Meyer Shank's an offer that's too good to refuse when you're
right.
currently at JHR. I think you got to take that, Renus. And I think that he's done enough. They would give it to him. he's been outperforming the machinery. That's for
He's
sure.
13th in the standings.
Ah,
You
that's
know, that's
crazy.
an unbelievable job given the team that he's with.
Yeah.
That, you know, again, IndyCar is great because it's so close
Hmm.
when the drivers are when you have the right driver in the car. So, you know, the difference, like you look at it and you say, okay, the difference between, you know, 13th and 16th is, you know, not even 10 points. So it's
And to be
close.
clear, 16th would still be a great finish for Renus VK in the JHR. So I see if I don't see anybody else I'd prefer to make that offer to if I'm Meyer Shank. He is the guy I would want to talk to.
The only other guy I'd talk to if I were Meyer Shank is Santino.
Yeah, in particular if Penske wants to bring in somebody like Miles Rowe to take a look at. They're testing him at the end of the season. We know that for a fact.
Right.
If Penske wants somebody like that in at AJ Foyt, then unless AJ Foyt gets that charter seat, Santino needs to find another home. And yeah, I could see Meyer Shank looking at Santino in that situation, but I think that Renus seems to fit Meyer Shank better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
the European thing.
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't
know
know
what to
what it
say about
is.
that. Maybe it's just because they don't have any American drivers, and I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I mean he comes from that, you know, European F2 background, brings a lot of great experience into that seat. He would certainly be someone who would immediately make an impact on that. They wouldn't. Rosenqvist is, I think, a stronger driver than Renus right now,
yeah,
but it wouldn't be a huge step back.
no, certainly not. And I as on a personal note, I'm really excited at the notion of seeing Renus race in stronger technology because he's really, really impressed me this season with what he has. And I wonder how good of a driver he can be if you give him the right machinery.
Right. Well, and if you look at it and you say, okay, you know, which driver is outperforming his teammate by the most? It's
Hmm.
probably Renus.
Yeah, I don't haven't done the math, but I would be blown away if it's anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's, you know,
Lungard to Siegel, maybe, but that's a when they're three, it's different.
right.
Three
Yeah.
driver team.
So, yeah, so I could certainly see that. And then I think the last driver we have to talk about is Stingray Robb.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's a
Brings me
guy
no,
who looks lost right now.
brings me no joy to say it, but he doesn't look like he's playing
That
the same game.
No, I mean, you looked at his times at Indy. He was, you know,
Mm.
2 miles per
2 seconds
hour.
slower, or yeah, 2 miles per hour slower every lap. Yep.
Right. He's, you know, not producing great results. He struggled at the beginning of the season. Now the problem is he brings $9 million to that team with his
Yeah.
Goodhart sponsorship.
Yep.
And so the question is, you know, do they have someone else who can, you know, is there someone else that can bring that kind of cash to the table?
And
Because that's a team that needs it.
that amount of money has to be a pretty significant percentage of the JHR budget,
Yeah,
I would
and
imagine.
IndyCar is, you know, the popularity is growing. We'd
But the
love to
budgets aren't
see,
massive.
yeah, the budgets aren't massive and sponsors aren't knocking down the doors still,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
This is not Formula One in that way.
that's a big that's a big issue. And you know, Stingray, we talk about this. He is a phenomenal human being. We talked to him on the grid before the race. Every time I see him, he's just always got a smile and great to talk to, even when he's struggling. And he knows he's struggling, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he's
He's not
unaware,
bumbling along happily. Like
right?
I you're right. Stingray is I just really find him to be genuine as anybody I've ever met. And I value that quality almost more than anything in a person. I just really, really think highly of him as a human being. And there are a lot of things, there are a lot of ways in which Stingray and I are different, but I like where he comes from when he talks about things like religion. Which is we don't necessarily come from the same background, but I hear a lot of joy and love message from him. And I
Hmm.
think that's such a beautiful way to wear your religion on your sleeve like that. Like I love that. Um, so it brings me less than joy. It brings me nothing but sadness to say
Yeah,
that he's
let's
just
hope.
not driving up to the standard that he need. Like he looks like a guy who's got the yips. I wonder how other drivers feel when they're racing him
Right.
because he sometimes has reacted in a way that could theoretically put people in danger. And it does feel like he's doing it more and more. Um,
Yeah,
which of course he is. There's all the pressure in the world on him.
right. Is he pressing? Is he, and it just becomes harder and harder for him to succeed.
Hmm.
Now, you know, give him a couple of good results and maybe he can start to turn it around. But if I'm JHR and I'm looking at we need to, we need to become more competitive, he may be preventing them from doing that.
Yeah, even with all the money he brings in, uh,
Yeah. So who
it's
knows
tough.
what's going to happen on
I
that seat?
I am hoping for nothing more out of this season than a David Malukas race win, a Marcus Armstrong race win, and 3 or 4 strong Stingray results in a row.
Right.
That would make me so happy. I would love that.
Then the only other thing that could impact silly season, we've talked about the two manufacturers charters. And for
Hmm.
people who are new to the sport or maybe they haven't, a charter is the right to enter a car in the series. So every team has a number of charters. So, Chip Ganassi Racing has 3 charters, Penske has 3 charters, MSR has 2 charters, right? So there are two. What do we got going on here? A
There
little
was a
puppy?
puppy, but Nick's walking it away from me. He
No
seems to
puppy
think
appearance today.
he seems to think that podcasting is far too serious for the puppy.
So there are two, Honda and Chevy in their new engine deals, each got a charter that they can use to enter a car in the series.
Hmm.
Now, they're not going to enter them independently, right? You're not going to see a team Chevy in IndyCar with one car.
I kind of
What
wish they
what
would.
what
I
is
know all the reasons why
likely,
they won't, but
and
I wish
and
they
we
would.
we talked about this earlier. What is likely is Team Chevy will go to one of the other teams and say, take this charter and run this car.
Hmm.
And we will use it as a developmental car and blah, 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 whatever.
Hmm.
Same thing with Honda.
Hmm.
So, you could see a 2-car Honda team getting that third charter and um, running a car. But there are 2 more charters out there because Prema
Because what's up with Prema, guys?
still owns 2 things. There was talk about them coming back into the series after the 500. Crickets, absolute crickets on it. No, no, no news, no nothing. Not hearing anything through the grapevine about Prema, but those charters exist. And
Hmm.
if the ratings continue to grow the way they grow, somebody is going to see value in those and want to put a team back on the grid, which would open up 2 more spots, which not only would give maybe some veteran people another place to go, although Prema had certainly a couple of solid drivers.
Man, you
Uh,
do everything you can to get Eilert and Schwartzman back in those cars.
right.
That was
But if
that
they've
was one of
moved
the
on,
greatest rookie seasons I've ever seen
yeah,
for a team.
yeah, but if they've moved on because, you know, of the uncertainty of Prema,
Hmm.
then, that's going to open up some other spots for some Indy Next drivers. And there are a couple people in that series who are ready to move up.
Yep.
Um, so it's going to be interesting. We're going to have to pay attention to this over the next few weeks, see who has some good weeks, see where some announcements get made.
And guys, we'll keep checking in on this once every couple of weeks. Even if there's not any new news, there's definitely time for me and Harvey to come up with more crackpot theories to share
And
with
and
you.
and
And
we
that's
can do
valuable,
and we can do vibe checks with, on the grid and that kind of stuff
certainly.
and just get a sense of, You can tell sometimes.
How is Nolan looking today?
Yeah.
Does he look
So
happy?
we'll keep our eyes open. But and then we're gonna start getting ready for the next race, which is Mid-Ohio next weekend. And looking forward to that race. That's a great track. I can't wait to tell you all about it and explain it. One you're gonna want, you're gonna want to see the racing there for sure.
Yeah, so looking forward to Mid Ohio. Thank you guys so much for joining us for our silly season discussion. If you want to hear a little bit more from us, please go ahead and follow us on social media. He is Harvey_drives. I am Fast Car Kaz, and we are Rides and Drives Team Radio. We can be found anywhere you like. And definitely go ahead and click the subscribe button because we love when
Yeah,
people
we
want to
want
hear
our
from us.
ratings to grow just like Fox's. So, the more people subscribe, the more we'll grow. And who knows, maybe we'll start getting sponsors. So,
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
all right. So, for Rides and Drives Team Radio, I'm Harvey. She's Kaz, and we are out.
Drive safe, everybody.